Hello and welcome to the couch right here on Zimpepers Television Network. This is your premier football show. And what are we talking about today? We are talking about the state of our stadia, which has become an eyesore. Yeah, think of any stadium in the country, whether it's the National Sports Stadium, Surfaro Stadium, Gwanzura Stadium, even small ones like Chibuku in Chitungwiza. Well, we are talking about the state of these stadiums. So this program brought to you by ZTN in partnership with Africa Bet every Tuesday, right here on Zimpepers Television Network. And on the couch, I'm joined by the couch squad. Mr. Teach is here. Mo is here. Great weekend of football, guys, and well, local football, that is. I know maybe you'll be telling me about Arsenal and Manchester United.
Let's not talk about international football.
Okay. Yeah, I think that says a lot about Mr. Tish, whether he supports Everton or Manchester United. Take your pick. But it's good to have you, Mr. Tish, and look, locally, we had some amazing goals coming through. And I think the story, because last week we focused on Caps United. I think they redeemed themselves. Yeah, they got beaten 6-2. And they scored half a dozen goals this past weekend.
Yeah, 6 goals. So yeah, I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot of noise from the Green Machine. But you know, one of my favorite movies is called The Expendables. You know, they've got all these old actors, Bruce Willis, Steven Seagal. So once in a while, they'll give you a good show. But I don't know if they can go the distance. Let's see how it pans out. It was wow after all.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
I'm just saying, Expendables.
Old actors. Mo is also here. Look, Mo, look, it's been amazing. I know we've got a situation right now as a country, and the topic now that we are tackling today, because we were at some point we were talking about the suspension of Zimbabwe. You know, we are no longer part of world football, and it even gets worse when you look at probably the stadia in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, if I'm correct, Howard, we cannot host international matches for the Warriors in Zimbabwe. Albeit we are banned, but if we were playing, we were not going to be able to host any matches in Zimbabwe. It's really a sad state of affairs, and I don't know what really needs to be done. But there are too many issues at play here. The councils, ZIFA itself.
All right, we will go deep because well, maybe just to correct you. Yes, you don't know what needs to be done, but that's why you're here. That's why you're here, to tell us what needs to be done. So we are talking about the bait state of our stadia. From all the provinces in Zimbabwe. If you go to Mutare, there is a stadium there. You go to Bulawayo, whether you're in Harare, wherever you are, there is a stadium. So we want to talk about that and what needs to be done. But first, let's look at the Premiership action played this past weekend, and we look at some big winners. Caps United, one of them, and they won by 6-0 against Wawa. William Manu scoring a hat-trick, and Rodwo Chinyenge weighing in with 2 goals, and one youngster, Diego Kurumidze, scoring the other one to make it 6 for the Green Machine. But I think it's a good story for them after coming from a 6-2 smarting after being beaten by Maniga Diamonds, and they came back with such wonderful goals. And Lloyd Chitembwe, their coach, explains that how he managed to work around his players to get such a victory.
Yeah, it is. But like I said earlier on, you know, it was just a blip, and want to believe it was just a slip. It was in the 4. What happened in Mutare? I'm sure it doesn't reflect the way we played, you know, unfortunately. But all the same, very happy with the 3 points. I think it's down to quality. I'm sure the quality is there. We have the quality in our group, and yeah, it was just a matter of making sure the attitude changes from the one that we had in Mutare. I'm sure the loss in Mutare was down to attitude, and attitude today was very positive attitude, and I'm very happy with the response.
So Mr. Tish was talking about the expandables, and they've got in their ranks likes of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Rambo. Yeah, back in the day, they were the real deal. So yeah, but Chitembo also spoke about his goal scorers. William Manondo getting hat-trick and Rodo Chinyengetere getting a brace. But yeah, if you look at their ages, they might be on the other side of 30, but they're still delivering.
It's expected, and I'm happy with the response that I'm getting from the boys, because I've already said it. In terms of quality, I think you can't ask anything more than what they gave us today from these guys. So I'm very happy, and I feel vindicated with my decisions of having some of these players. You can't doubt Manondo's quality as a goal scorer. Neither can you doubt Chinyengetere's quality as a good playmaker. So I'm very happy, and I hope they'll continue performing the way they performed today.
Yeah, he says you can't doubt Manondo. Manondo, joined Chitembwe. They were together at Harare City, so more like he followed Chitembwe to Caps United. So Manondo was also delighted with the 3 goals that he scored.
It's my job to score goals. And I'm happy for the team, I'm happy for myself. And, as a striker, your job is to score goals. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. And I'll try to score more goals, because we still have a long way to go. Yep. We lost 6-2, and I think it was an application. And today, we came with a positive mind. And as a team, we were telling each other we have to win this game, and it's a must to win. Yeah, that's it. We managed to collect maximum points, and I'm happy for the club.
Yeah, so that's what happened. The biggest winners this past weekend, Caps United scoring half a dozen goals. It's a good story, yeah? Looking at it from all the angles, even Lloyd Chitembwe talks about vindication with the older players that he's using. And, I mean, on paper, Caps United has got all the good players. Marshall Machazan, another one who joined them, and I hear Jimmy Zingayo is also part of the team now. It looks like he's collecting all the
veterans.
The veterans, yeah, the veterans. They are there. But is this going to last, or we're going to see them blowing hot and cold?
Because my issue with, as much as Chitembo is speaking about how he's got so much confidence that they will deliver, most of these so-called veterans, older players, were the same players who went to Mutare to Sakuva and were hammered 6-2. So for now, we've seen that they're yo-yo team. They're up, they're down. So let's see as the games go by whether they can be as consistent as they need to be. I think that's going to be the key question here. They've shown that they can have a bad attitude like they did in Mutare. They can show that they can redeem themselves like they did last week. Let's see what happens this coming match day and see if they can show us that they've turned a corner, or it was a blip again, this time in the upward direction.
So you play the game, because me and Mr. Teach, we can talk all day, because we don't really understand what goes on the beach. What do you think happened in Mutare, and how did they fix it? Or it's just a blip like what he was saying? Or we're going to see this trend, up and down?
No, I think Caps has turned the corner. Considering the quality that they are going to be playing against, there's not many teams that are better than Caps in terms of quality right now. Maybe we can talk of your Platinums and Dynamos and Chicken Inn. Maybe those 4. The rest, they can't stand the quality that Caps has. I think in Mutare, yeah, the coach said they didn't concentrate. Manondo said it was application. Whatever happened, I don't think it's something that we can really count on and say. If we give Mutare Manika Caps today, they can't score more than 2 goals.
But then I think
it won't happen again.
We also need to think about this. Wawa have conceded 21 goals already this season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have been licking goals left, right, and center. So, I think as much as we give credit to Chitembwe and the rest of the team in terms of having that capacity to bounce back, it was wow.
But it was also the quality of
it was the quality of, you're talking about quality of
Yeah,
opposition.
but do you realize that before the Manica game, Caps had only conceded 1 goal.
So
But
maybe
they also hadn't won a game.
Yeah, they had not conceded. They had conceded only 1 goal as
And then
well.
they conceded
So it
6.
means, yeah, it's a fluke. It's a fluke. It won't happen again. We are here. We will talk about this.
All right, so after match day 6 of the Casablanca Premier Soccer League, Chicken Inn have now gone on top of the log standing with 15 points, courtesy of a 2-0 victory over ZPC Kariba. This match was played on Saturday. And also defending champions FC Platinum, they are 4 points off the pace, and they are 4th on the log standings. Dynamos, well, they did themselves a favor. Remember, they had won 1-0, then lost 2 games, but this time they came good by winning by 2-0 against Bulawayo Chiefs, and they are 6th on 10 points. And well, talking about that match, it was marred by controversy, and at the center is referee Hadley Ndazi. Remember him way back, again, a lot of controversy with his officiating. But you got to look at how then Dynamos turned around. Aubrey Chirinda got a penalty. It was saved by Taman Vula. Dynamos then were leading by a 1-0. They scored another one right at the death. Are they also a team that is also turned a corner?
You know what? When I look at that incident that happened in Bulawayo at Baba Fields, like, I'm very worried about the attitude that we have at Dynamos. Because for a big team that claims to have 7 million supporters, you know, to be rattled so much by a bad refereeing decision that there's a halt in play for about 15 minutes against Bulawayo Chiefs. I think this is their 3rd or 4th season in the top flight. I think it shows maybe how much pressure is there at Dynamos for them to get results. And, you know, I've never played the game, but maybe I feel like there was a psychological element as well to that, you know, because Aubrey Oshirena then goes on to miss that penalty, and then I think he lost his head shortly after that, gets a red card. So a lot of things played into Dynamos' favour. Yes, Belantino getting a goal deep into injury time, but from reports in Malawi, it looked like it was a goalkeeping howler as well. So I don't think we can then say because they got that result against Bulawayo Chiefs, they are contenders. I think they still have to convince, if you ask me.
Yeah, so talking about that penalty decision, so people are saying it was poetic justice at the end of the day, and they even got a bonus with cheating the big set off. That's what they're saying. They said it was not supposed to be a penalty.
Part of the 7 million were saying
yeah,
that.
it's part of... So, Mo, what's happening with Highlanders? Played against Tenax. Tenax, I think if you want to... okay, I'm not really looking down upon Tenax, but I think they're in the same mold of Wawa,
yeah,
because they are the whipping boys thus far. And the Highlanders could have even lost the game because Tenax got a penalty, which they failed to convert. And when you look at that, Mandla Mpofu, 2nd time in charge at Highlanders, and things are not working, and the fans are up in arms. They want him out.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure that comes with coaching big teams, be it Dynamos, Highlanders or Caps. There is a lot of pressure. It doesn't matter who you're playing with or who you're playing against. There is just that pressure. If you look at Tenax, before they played the Highlanders, they had gone on to draw 2 matches. That's a build-up in confidence. Although Zirishiri, they are just one of those clubs that you can't really talk about. I thought Highlanders were supposed to win the match, but I think there's everything wrong with how Lulu is trying to set out his Bosso team. They cannot struggle with goals against a team like Tenax.
Can I put you on the line?
Yeah, you can.
Right. Lulu, is he a good coach? Bad coach?
I really can't say. But basing on results, the first time that he was at Highlanders, I thought he was actually doing very well. I don't know why they chased him away. But now, I don't want to believe he's doing well. He should do better, definitely.
All right, let's talk about the bottom 6 now, because you've got your Caps. So the bottom 9 teams. You've got your Caps on position 10 there. You've got other big hitters, Harare City, ZPC Kariba as well. But look at where Highlanders is, 14th. And well, for the other teams, well, maybe it's expected. Your Wawa, Cranbourne Bullets, Yada, even Bulawayo City. But Highlanders, Caps United, and the bottom half of the log.
I think that's not surprising. Just you asked more about whether Lulu is a good coach.
Oh, you want to take that? Okay.
I want to take that. I think he's a good assistant coach because every time he's had the head coach job, whether it was at Bantu Rovers, it was a Chicken Inn, or even at Highlanders, he's always struggled. But, I think maybe he needs to accept, first of all, that maybe he's a good assistant when he becomes head coach, and especially now at a club as big as Highlanders. There's been a lot of turmoil with the boardroom squabbles that have been happening. There are a lot of infighting in terms of the power struggles within the board itself and the administrators. So I don't think it's a conducive environment for him as well. And Highlanders, traditionally probably one of the most passionately supported teams in the country, and I'm sure the pressure that will be coming from the fans is too much for him. So I think if I was Lula, I'd be like, you could bring in a head coach. I'll just
I think it's too early to judge. They're on 5 points. If they win 2 matches, they will be up there. They'll be in the top 5.
Yeah, but
if we are going to look at
this
the
is a
log.
big if more, because right now, match day 6, we're going to match day 7. Maybe whoever they are playing next is going to be the same thing. And again, those on top are going.
It's too early, Howard. It's too early.
Okay.
Let's give him a little bit more time.
He played the game.
We're just analysts.
You're watching The Couch right here on Zim Papers Television Network. What are we talking about today? We are talking about the state of football stadia in Zimbabwe. What has gone wrong? What needs to be done? So when we come back, we're going to open it up, and these guys are going to really look at the stadiums that we've got and how much has been done since 1980. And look, we can talk about countries like Zambia, for instance. Their stadia is far much better than ours. Talk about Senegal. Recently, a world-class stadium. When is it going to come to Zimbabwe?
When we start taking our football seriously. And I'm not just, because I think a lot of times when we talk about taking our football seriously, as fans, we focus on the way the team is playing, who is the head coach, Loga must go, Loga must come in, all these different things, Mapeza. But I think we need a holistic approach to our football. And it includes as well, yes, people like to talk about grassroots development, but infrastructure development is an area that we have not really paid as much attention to. And infrastructure development is more than just football. It is about the whole ecosystem.
What's your but?
Both examples that Zambia gave.
I gave.
Yes.
Not Zambia. I'm not Zambia.
That is Zambia and Senegal. That's an initiative by the government, not the setup that we have here in Zimbabwe. If we are going to go by that, then we may not be comparing like for like.
All right, we are coming to that. Just hold on to that thought. This is The Couch right here on Zim Papers Television Network. You're watching The Couch right here on Zim Papers Television Network, and today we are interrogating the state of football stadia in Zimbabwe, and we're saying what is causing this bad state that we see most of our stadium. Why am I saying this? Well, in a bit we'll be talking about most of these stadiums, but this show is brought to you by ZTN in partnership with Africa Bet. Yeah, Africa Bet. Just visit our website. You can win big every time there is sport going on, courtesy of us, Africa Bet. So we talk about, when we talk about football, I think the first port of call, we talk about the ceremonial home of Zimbabwe football, which is Rufaro Stadium. And just a trip to Mbare, you'll be shocked because it has become an eyesore. Outside, it has become a dumping site. And you can't stand being there. And when you get inside again, these are pictures from the outside. You know, this is an iconic stadium. Talk about Zimbabwe independence. It was held there at Rufaro Stadium. And this is the outside. You know, some of our biggest matches have been played at Rufaro Stadium. But this is the state. And I don't know, but it's owned by the city council. And I don't know what the city fathers are thinking. You know, it's been condemned before. CAF condemned it. And look at all those, you know, the painting is not there, even the windows and everything. And when you look at this, I don't know, what do you think? But it's not the only stadium that we're going to be focusing on. We also be looking at Gwanzura Stadium in Highfields. We're also going to be looking at DZ Stadium in Dzivarasekwa there, and Mandava Stadium again in Zhishavane, Baobab in Ngezi, Baobab Fields in Bulawayo. But what's going on? I think that's the starting point. What's going on?
I think, like you said, the state of our stadium, I think, is just down to us not having done anything to the stadium since probably independence. I think you look at Rufaro Stadium, there's nothing modern about that stadium. Even if you were to clean it up, put some nice turf, even the structure itself, I think it's no longer modern. So I think maybe what we need to look at is maybe for the local authorities, because I think in most cases, I think with the exception of the National Sports Stadium, whether it's Mandawa, whether it's Sakuva, whether it's Baba Fields or Rufaro, those are owned by the local authorities. So I think they need to maybe look at having more private partnerships, because I don't think they have, they prioritize, first of all, these stadiums as a potential revenue stream, or, you know, they take it very seriously. So I think we need to have maybe more and more private partnerships coming through. I know a few years ago when Sakuva Stadium had been condemned and Matare teams were being forced to go to Vengere and Rusape, there was a big commercial bank that actually came in wanting to, I think, lease Sakuva Stadium, I think, get naming rights, but, you know, the ego, the pride from the city fathers who wanted to, because they wanted to name it after the bank, you know, and they were saying, no, it's Sakuva Stadium, it must remain Sakuva Stadium. So issues like that, where, you know, there's no foresight to think about the potential development. I think we can give credit to Zhishavane Town Council, because at least they've had some kind of arrangement with FC Platinum that has seen Mandawa being spruced up, obviously not up to the standard where we can host international matches as a country, but at least it's something. If other city councils, local authorities can sort of follow that pathway, we might be able to see our stadiums coming up to standard. But then you look at Rufaro, it's like, unless we actually tear it down and build it up again. Seriously, if you go inside, some of those pillars, you know, they're made of stone. What changes can you really make? Like if you wanted to make the changing rooms larger at Rufaro, you know, it's an architectural nightmare to try and renovate it in its current state. So I think we really need some sober thinking in terms of how we look at our stadiums, especially now that we're not playing football. We're banned. So this could be an opportunity to just say, you know what, guys, who wants to come in and give naming rights or something like that?
So we'll come to that. But this is a map, you know, of the stadia that we've got in Zimbabwe. So if you go to Wange, you've got the Colliery Stadium. Up there, there's Nyamunga. You come down in Bulawayo, there's White City, Luveve, Hatsfield, even Barber Fields. Go to the southeast Lowville, there's Gibo. You come to Zhishavane, Masingo, Gweru. It's like everywhere, you know. So if you want to do the counting and all that, this is Zimbabwe Stadia. But we don't have anything, you know, that has forced it, you know, to even think that when football returns, international football, there is a huge possibility that we'll go and play outside Zimbabwe. Yet we've got such infrastructure in the country. In fact, let's go back to what you were talking about, the issue of private partnerships, you know, lease agreements and all that, because we've got Michael Chideme, the Harare City Council spokesperson, as he talks about lease agreements with the teams in the local premiership.
Budget system So the money is allocated to council or for the stadiums by council in its every financial year are the monies that are used to spruce up the stadiums. Sometimes the money is not enough because it won't be enough. And you know the issues that the city is owed so much money by its various customers. So that money, sometimes we don't have enough to do all the work. Which is why we are saying companies are welcome to come and partner with the city and spruce up the stadiums. And even the naming rights can also be discussed so that we know which company, say ZTN, wants to come and help us with the Faro Stadium. We can discuss the issue of naming rights so that you also get or generate value from the investment that you would have done for that period that you would have agreed upon. But the condition is the stadium remains for use by all clubs and even the community for the activities that they've always used the stadiums for.
Michael Chideme Harare, City Council spokesperson. So he says they're open to leasing these facilities to any team that wants. But now here's my question, because at the end he goes on to qualify how the stadium is going to be used. You know, it's still open to other teams and all that. I thought the whole point of leasing is it's now the sole responsibility of whoever would have gotten the lease. And if a community team wants to use the same, would then go to anyone who's got the lease. Why are they now dictating that community teams can come and do whatever they want? Any other team can come and do whatever they want. So what's the point of the lease agreement?
Two things here. I think it shows that our local authorities are in denial because they're saying, you know what, they want to play that role of saying we are the guardians, the custodians of the stadia, but they haven't been able to take care of the stadia. So I think the first step that needs to happen is acceptance that they have failed to take care of the stadia. And when you talk about what Chidema says about, you know, the lease agreements, you can have naming rights, but we still want every team to play there. It's like he wants to have his cake and eat it at the same time. So I think that's the challenge in attitude, in culture, in thinking that we need to have primarily to be able to say, you're right, you have failed. So now you are leasing, and at least doesn't mean you're giving up the stadium forever. It just means for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years. For example, it can be a partnership with Africa Bet, for example. They take the naming rights for Rufaro Stadium, for example. And after that, it means priority will go to the named sponsor to say, you know what, whatever activities they want to do, they go to the money and revenue that's generated from that comes from Africa Bet. Like if it's the community teams, it's the clubs, it's the churches or whoever, the revenue will be going towards them, and maybe there can be a sharing arrangement with the city council. But as long as, because right now they're failing to do it, they're not getting any revenue from it. So I don't know what they hope to achieve.
I know you got to, but I want you to tackle it this way, because you played at Rufaro Stadium.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a lot of good memories and bad ones as well. Because this other day you were telling me about people who were in the stands who were insulting you and all that. But be that as it may, look, Rufaro Stadium is one such probably place that holds a lot of dear memories for you.
Yeah.
When you look at the current state, what comes to your mind?
I think we are in agreement that the city council is failed completely to take care of the stadium, not only Rufaro Stadium. If you go to DZ, if you go to Guanzura, it's the same. And the sad thing is they actually have a team that is in the Premier League that does not have a venue. They don't have a venue.
They're going to train at some high school.
Yeah, they have to use the National Sports Stadium for their matches. They couldn't even maybe just take care of one stadium, like DZ, for example, the smallest.
For their team.
For their team. They can't. But what taking from what Chideme was saying, I would like to say, I would like to concur with him on the part where this the agreement should take a look at the generality of the populace that want to use that stadium. if I'm going to give you a lease, Howard, you spruce up the stadium. And then when I want to use that lease, I'm coming to you. There is a strong chance that I may not be able to use that because you may charge prohibitive prices or for whatever reason. And then it will deprive the rest of the community of that facility.
Okay, hold
so
on.
when those
Those
facilities initially when they were built, they were built for the communities in which they were built for. So if they cannot have access to that facility, then why should I have
access now, right now?
Who has got access to the Faro Stadium?
Right now, in this current state, can those communities
Who's
use those
got
stadiums?
access to the Faro?
No, wait, Howard. The council never said that they are not going to to repair these stadia.
Have they?
At whatever time they're going to do it, they are still going to do it.
Okay.
And eventually, people will want to use those facilities. They have to have access to it at very reasonable prices. If I give you, Howard, there's a strong chance that once you put that, you give that value which prohibits me, an ordinary individual, to use that facility. And then the purpose for that is gone.
Okay, what is the purpose of Rufaro Stadium?
Obviously for whatever it was being used for, soccer.
What is that?
Soccer, you could have your other music. Musicians used to also, the bigger musicians would also play at Rufaro. Big churches would also want to congregate at Rufaro. All those other things that it was used before. So the community used those facilities. We cannot take away that. If you have got so much money and you can afford to spruce up Rufaro, like he rightly said, that Rufaro at the moment, it really needs to be redone. Why can you not just apply for a piece of land and then build your own stadium? I'll give you a good example. For Dynamos has got a piece of land in Waterfalls.
They used to have.
Yeah, okay. For whatever reason, they used it for the purposes that was not meant for that piece of land. But if you've got your piece of land, if you've got the money, go and build your own stadium. This one, the reason why it was built and the purposes it was meant for should remain. And no one
But is
could,
it
should,
serving
no
its
one should
purpose
claim
now?
no one should claim a single right to that.
But is
to
it
that stadium.
serving its purpose
We
now?
all agree that it's not. But we know that if we do we have to take it away because it's not serving its purpose now?
Somebody has
Completely
to.
take it
Somebody
away.
has to be in charge.
No, there's no guarantee that the community will benefit from it if we.
So is the community benefiting now?
No, that's where what's his name? Chideme was saying, come, we'll give you other other benefits
what's the benefit?
outside of total ownership.
No, but it's a lease agreement. If you go and you rent out a place, and then the landlord tells you no, but
I want to use this spare bedroom.
on Saturdays.
My
somebody's
kids
gonna
will come and stay at the house.
Stay in your kitchen. They can use your gas stove. They can do. Come on, man.
I don't think this is a good example to what we have.
What do you mean?
on our
What do you
plate.
mean?
I don't think it's
Because we're talking
I
about a
don't
lease
think-
agreement. We're not
Yeah,
talking
but
about
you-
complete
you-
ownership
you
of the
did-
stadium.
You didn't build your house for the community. You didn't build your house for the community. This was built for the community specifically.
But the
for
community is not benefiting from it.
Yeah,
more.
but I didn't say I'm not going to repay it. It's going to take time for me to do that.
So in this case,
Yeah.
if you build a house, the community is your family. In the case of the example that you
Nah,
gave.
I'm not going to listen to that.
You're watching the couch right here
example of
on Zimbabwe's television network. So yeah, we're talking about Rufaro Stadium, but actually Gwanzura Stadium has been worse. It was last used back in 2015, and ever since, some people have turned it into a love nest, if there is anything like that. Look, there isn't anything happening at Gwanzura Stadium. But recently we hear that the issue of is it an angel financier came through to help out at Gwanzura Stadium, and things are happening at Gwanzura Stadium right now, whether it's going to be turned into a modern stadium. That's what we heard, that they want to turn it into a modern stadium. So I don't know if they are demolishing everything and building from scratch, but there is some work that's happening at Gwanzura Stadium. If you go to Dzivarasekwa DZ Stadium, we used to host premiership matches. Lanterns, I think they were using it as their home ground, but now even Boozers are not using DZ Stadium. So I don't know what's happening. And you look at the number of Premiership teams, even Division 1 teams that are in Harare. For example, if we start from Premiership, we've got Black Rhinos, we've got Cramban Bullets, we've got Harare City themselves, we've got Dynamos, Caps United, Yada as well. These are Harare teams. But a team like Black Rhinos is having to travel more than 200 kilometers to play at Sakupa Stadium in Mutare. Think about that. And they are using that as their home ground. Yada are having to travel 156 kilometers to Mondoronges to use the Baobab Stadium as their home ground. And just look at that. What does it say about our football? And you were talking about football development. Is there any development when teams are having to fork out money to travel long distances to play a football? So we are saying, is this good for our football? Obviously, not looking at face value. So what should be done to fix this, and who should do that? So one of the solutions that we have probably highlighted is that of city councils leasing the stadiums. And we asked Michael Chideme again why some clubs that have tried to get lease agreements from the city fathers for both Gwanzura and Rufaro have failed in the past. These clubs include Yada and Dynamos.
I think let's get things correct here. Firstly, we expect clubs to have their own clubhouses and stadiums and playgrounds, right? We don't expect clubs to come and take the city's collateral. The stadiums that the city has are its collateral, and they are for the benefit of the generality of the community. So if one club takes a stadium, it means it now has the rights to that stadium that excludes other clubs. So it becomes unfair. But yet, what we actually want are CSR projects in our stadiums, where, say, corporates come together and say, we want to assist you for the benefit of the community to spruce up the stadium so that our communities, the people who buy from us, the people we do business with, can benefit from this stadium in a good state. So, for example, in Harare, we have 3 stadiums: Rufaro, Gwanzura, and DZ, I mean for football. And if 3 clubs are to take these stadiums and say they want a lease for whatever number of years, so it means we've excluded other clubs. But what we are open to are CSR projects, where companies come, where corporates come, where even the clubs come and say, we as the football clubs in Harare want to help you, the city, to spruce up the stadium so that it's in a usable state. But getting back to your question, yes, they do an application to council. It goes to the committee, and from the committee, depending on the decision, it goes to full council, and full council makes the final decision. But it's not in the best interest of council to give one club a stadium.
Yeah, Michael Chideme, Harare City Council spokesperson. So the last statement, it's not in the best interest of the council to give leases to clubs. So the council has got a team. We spoke about this, Harare City. Mm-hmm. So in their wisdom, it's not in their best interest to give one of the stadiums to their own team. Essentially, this is what he's saying.
Because it's a community stadium. I think it's a bit
rigid. But before you go on that, just this question. In all the suburbs, they are supposed to be recreational facilities. Sunningdale, there's a football pitch, although now they're giving stands to churches. Go to even Mebore, there's a stadium where the community can go and play and all that. How different are those places in these big structures?
I wouldn't know. I think that question you should also have forwarded it to Mike Chideme.
I know, I know it has come to you. It's not Mike is not here. It has come to you.
No, I think I cannot speak on behalf of.
It's not on behalf of the city. I'm asking your opinion.
I don't know. I have to say I don't know.
Thank you. No, thank you. For now, end there for now. Okay. So, Mr. Tish.
Play nicely, guys.
What should be done? What should be done? Because I think this is probably a bit of a deterrent to the clubs that want to get lease agreements. Because who says if the team comes, it's going to charge an arm and a leg for somebody else to come and use the pitch?
I think what needs to happen is a bit more open-mindedness. I think just listening to what Chidema, who's obviously the representative for the Harare City Council, is saying, they seem to be too rigid in their thinking, because a lease agreement can have, fine print, details in there. Because you can have a lease where, for example, a Dynamos can come and lease Rufaro, and their lease will give them priority. Like if there are 3 teams who want to use the Stadia, the priority will always go to Dynamos as the lessees, for example. So I think they can have options like that where they put in, and then they can say, you know what, for our community teams, as long as this particular club is not using the stadium, we can also then have arrangements where we can, because it can work out so that if Dynamos, for example, is to lease Rufaro and renovate Rufaro for the purposes of leasing it over a long term, then the city council can say, we'll take care of the maintenance. And because we're taking care of the maintenance, we will collect the revenue when other teams or other members of the community use it. So I think they have to be flexible in their thinking, because right now, they're not getting any revenue at all from the Stadia. No member of the community is benefiting from the stadium. Even their own team, Harare City, no one is benefiting. And as long as they continue to dig their heels in, no one is going to benefit from the stadium. Sometimes they have to suck it up and just say, you know what, for 5 years, we might not have priority or complete control over Rufaro Stadium, Zivarasekwa, Gwanzura. And you can say, all right, Rufaro, we are leasing it out for the purposes of Premiership football, but communities, we can do whatever work we can, and they can still use Gwanzura. Not every, like if a community team, how many community teams actually go to use Rufaro? How many community teams can fill up Rufaro? As much as we want to say it's a community stadium, so we can also go to those smaller grounds that you were talking about in Marlborough and Sarningdale, spruce those up. The community can use those, because let's be honest, how many teams Zemabuza, China on Tamira Rufaro?
Do you realize that they were making losses? The city council was making losses when you were using these stadiums, or the teams were using these stadiums. Do you realize they were making losses?
Who is you?
You guys, you are
You are the one who was playing. You are pro.
Did you play
football? Did you play football?
No.
He was the one who was playing football. You are the one who was using it.
I've never used such facilities.
I'm talking about here and now. You guys are pro, whichever side you are. That side that you are pro. I'm saying, for your own information, if Rufaro is up and running, spick and span, clubs can come and play there. Do you realize that they were also making a loss?
Explain that.
Yeah.
How were they making losses?
If you have...
And now are they making profit?
Wait. Black Rhinos play versus Cranbourne. There are, in terms of spectators, there will be 30 paying spectators, and then the rest will be free people from the National Army who will be coming there. They can't even pay.
What do you mean?
They can't even pay for using the stadium. The city council now has got to. It pays those people who maintain. It pays for the general maintenance of the stadium, the magetsi, the water, everything else.
But
it was.
Don't they charge a fee for teams to use the stadium?
It was a nominal fee just to let them use. But then now, if you look at it, council has not been. It has been difficult for council. There are more things that are waiting for the money that the council collects from us as residents. Look at everything else they have to do besides the stadiums. So when they are doing their strategic business plan, they will look at it and say, okay, fine, what are we really getting from these stadiums? Who is using this stadium? Even when they are using, how much are we getting from there? If we are not getting revenue from those, why should we prioritize them in funding?
Let's list them. Why not list
Are they
them
making profit now?
Because they're not making any money from them.
Are they making profit
If they're
now?
making losses.
No, they are not.
They are not.
Yeah.
You're watching The Couch right here on Zimpaper's television network. When we come back, we take it to the streets. We ask the people what they think about the state of Stadia in Zimbabwe and what needs to be done. Stay with us. watching The Couch right here on Zim Papers Television Network. My name is Howard Msonza. In studio, I'm joined by the Couch Squad, Mr. Teach and More. And we are talking about the deteriorating standards of our stadiums. And it got heated. And it's interesting what we've got here. This show, though, is brought to you by ZTN in partnership with Africa Bet. And what we did, we went out in the streets of Harare just to hear what some people think about the issue that we're talking about. So we will talk to those fans in a bit, but when you look at probably the issue that you were talking about, the smart partnerships, the lease agreements, and all that, it's because there is something existing, right? The Guanzuras, the Rufaros, DZ Stadium. But what is stopping our teams in getting their own pieces of land, build their own structures?
I think it's probably a short-term view of things, of like the way we approach our game. I think you even look at the way our player contracts are structured, we're 1 year contracts. So I think we've got this short-mindedness that we have as a football nation, as Zimbabwe. So I think we need to have a more long-term view, because Dynamos itself, or Highlanders or Caps United, they can actually then approach the various corporates and say, you know what, we want to build a stadium here. We can give you naming rights, like what we see in England, the Etihad Stadium, where Manchester City host their games. We can say, okay, we've got these plans. We want to build a stadium. You will have the naming rights for the first 10, 20 years. And that can be a sort of a smart partnerships that can work. Because right now, as much as we're clamoring, let's get Rufaro Stadium fixed, let's get Guanzura fixed, we actually need those stadiums torn down, because they're not good enough. Right now, we want them fixed because we still need the game to continue. We don't want it to stop. But the reality is we need new stadia. That's one of the key solutions that we need to have. And for that to happen, I think maybe we can have the sports ministry in partnership with the different ministers in government incentivizing people who want to come and build infrastructure in our sport, whether it's tax breaks, whether it's, whatever they can get, incentives that they offer in other areas. I think in agriculture, people are offered incentives. In mining, people are offered incentives. So the Ministry of Sport as well needs to come up with policies where they can lobby the different, whether it's a finance ministry or whatever, to try and create the incentives that will make it worthwhile. Because once you do not make it worthwhile for any investor, because an investor is, you heard what Chidema was talking about. He wants borderline donations, because he's talking about community social responsibility, because CSR tries to make it sound fancy, but that's basically what they're doing. But if we want sustainable solutions, we need to be able to have people who can invest, because sport is a multi-billion-dollar industry across the world. In Zimbabwe, we still take it as leisure, unless, of course, we're supporting the Warriors. That's when we think we're very serious, we're passionate, but it has to be, the support has to be coming from all facets of the football ecosystem.
Before you come in, let's quickly go to the fans. I was talking about, then we'll then come in and
Oh, they've forgotten.
No, it's all right. Let's go to the fans now and hear what they think about this issue that we are discussing today.
Ndoona pane stadium ground tokati kanzi rakakanganisa vekubvira from where to go anoona pakuti vanofanira kuona zvimwe kuzvinovhita zvimwe zvinhu zvavanofanira kuona, because Zimbabwe is a big country, saka especially into my big events ground, saka rinofanira kuti rionekwe, rinofanira kugara rakamaintainwa. Sivana nekanzi vanofanira kuona zvokuita mucommunity, sivana vakagara mucommunity maorana namastreet chamwe chamwe, you can find out kuti everything is going wrong, but vanofanira kutira kumaintaina, kudzokera pane position yange tiri pekutanga. Even kwaane zvimakuitwa zvimapota etu zvimakuitwa zvinhu zvechi panopana kuti panofanira pati zvipresentable kunyika.
Tirikurwadziwa chaizvo nekuti ground yatibatsira, especially vanhu mucommunity like Highfields, and iyi ground yanga rakanaka, yaitotambirwa national team, yaitouya kutambira kuno, saka isezi masupporters kana ise community kurwadziwa.
asi tete ground arizi kufara nayo kufanira kuimprovawo kusilashwawo kunosangana nenyoko chifunga kuti kutamba muground zvariri zvacho magedhi hapasina saka tikazviri tinoona kuti gadziriwo ground redu rikwaza kutambirawo bhora zvakanaka.
Yeah, those are some views from the fans. This is how bad it is. I'm going to say nenyoka ukatorumwa. You know, apa kufunga rumuchi ground. So, Mr. Teach commented on the issue of the teams, you know, getting pieces of land, building their own. But okay, let's start small. What's stopping our teams from having even a clubhouse, Jayo?
I think the biggest issue is funding, Howard. We can go around and talk about this and that, but the bottom line is we don't have funding. Our clubs do not have the money. They don't have the capacity to do that. Of course, if you look at Dynamos, Highlanders and Caps, I won't forgive those three clubs because they have the capacity. They've got the numbers that can back up any business venture they may want to do. But unfortunately, for those big clubs, you then go to the administration of the club. You know, the administrators may not have that foresight to say what can we do for sustainable growth of our club. But for the rest of the clubs, Howard, there is no money, there is no funding. And unfortunately for now, in our economy, for you to really get someone who is going to part with their monies to assist you to have a clubhouse or start buying land and building a stadium, it's very difficult. It's very difficult.
So, we've been talking about the council-owned stadia. But we've got the National Sports Stadium. Previously, it was being run by the Ministry of Local Government and National Housing, and it was handed over to the Ministry of Sport. And yeah, it's been a while now. What's going on, Mr. Teach?
Well, nothing. I think that's the short answer. I think since pre-COVID-19, I think the issue that has been the big talking point in terms of what many like to call, I don't like it, but say the giant National Sports Stadium, has been the issue of bucket seats. I think, you know, at one point, the Ministry of Sport has said they had taken the issue.
Sorry, it's giant.
It's giant,
Yeah,
but
it's gigantic.
You put bucket seats in there, it probably goes down to 40,000, which is probably a more realistic sitting capacity in terms of us trying to modernize. And this is a stadium that was built, I think, mid-80s. So even as much as it is the best stadium that we have in the country, I think work needs to be done on that particular stadium to bring it up to standard. Because like Mo said as well, if we were to host an international game within the next couple of months, we won't be able to do that. And I mean, you can imagine in this day and age, you know, where we've got so many comforts. Right now, we're sitting on a nice, comfy couch. But if you go to the National Sports Stadium, you have to sit on cement. So I think
that's bad.
That's bad. I mean, so if you want to entice people to come to the stadium, those are things. And another thing that we also need to look at is how we monetize the game. I think I was having a discussion with a colleague, and I was saying, whenever you watch local games or you attend the stadium, you know, you watch international matches, you know, the billboards are going by fast. You know, there's so many different advertisers. We haven't tapped into that. So, you know, we don't take our sport seriously, whether it's us as journalists, whether it's the football club owners, whether it's administrators. We need to take it seriously as a business before outsiders can come and say, you know, because I know Mo is a marketer as well. It is other life. So, you know, before marketers come and say, you know what, let's place our advertisements here, they want to see value. They want to see that you guys are taking it seriously. Right now, what marketer would want to put their billboards in Rufaro Stadium? For what? Because it might not be aligned with the image that the brand is trying to create. So we also need to think about that as well. Even the small things, how the teams present themselves, whether it's the kit, it's a whole ecosystem that's dead. And with the National Sports Stadium, I don't know, because right now this COVID-19, we've been banned. You think this will be a time where we channel all the money that we have towards renovating that and bringing it up to standard? Because at least if we have one, it could be a start.
Is that a solution? Because we're talking about the Ministry of Sport here. Is it a solution?
He talked about government
because
too.
that's the government. You said we should get funds from the government. Government should spearhead this. So should they go around building stadiums in different towns?
I think for our government, we are waiting for a major tournament. In 1995, when we held the All Africa Games, this is the last time that Rufaro Stadium had any sprucing up, Rufaro and BF. After that, there was nothing. I
So we
think
need to bid for something big.
we need to bid for
We
something
got
very
rights.
big.
2000, we were supposed to host the Africa Cup
Yeah,
of
but-
Nations,
but
and
then-
we couldn't build anything.
Yeah,
When COSAFA recently, we couldn't offer a government guarantee, so
Yeah, but COSAFA probably was going to allow us to use the BF and Rufaro and all the other stadia. But if we are going to do the bigger, the Africa Cup of Nations, World Cup, we can't even dream about it. That's when government wants to come in. But I don't see why at the moment the government cannot take care of only one stadium. Only one stadium. One. That's the national
it's a
sports
giant stadium. So
because there is no other stadium that is owned by government as far as I know. This is the only stadium that they own. I thought the Ministry of Sport should, now that it's in their hands, they should just finish up what's supposed to. Bucket seats. In South Africa, every small club is got a stadium with bucket. In South Africa, every small club. Like we are talking like our Wawa.
What are Muna funding one?
But I'm saying this is at government level, Howard. At government level, they should. You mean government cannot spare that little to make sure that our stadium has got bucket seats? Because that's the major thing that's stopping us. That stadium is modern, although it was built in mid-80s. In terms of the infrastructure itself, it can easily be turned into the
world-class stadium.
Yes, world-class stadium.
All right, we would really wanted to go on and on, proffer solutions to the crisis that we've got. It's not right. A Harare team goes all the way to Mutare to play a game. They've got fans here in Harare. Another one goes to Mondoro Ngezi. So we want to see, the funding that these guys were talking about, coming to the teams, not, coming out as expenses as they travel to play the game of football. We want to see the state of our stadia being improved. Yeah, we can continue talking about this on social media, but otherwise on the couch for today, we're done and dusted. Thanks a lot to Mr. Teach, and more will be back again next week on Tuesday with The Couch, brought to you by ZTN in partnership with Africa Bet. My name is Howard Msonza. Thanks a lot for watching.